When you think of old brands, you might think of Coca-Cola, Levi's, or even Disney. Brands that seem to have been around forever. But what brand has been around forever? I mean, what really was the first ever brand? Picture this, a time when beers had no labels and were often stale or poor quality. People walked into bars unsure if their drink will taste good or not. In the 1700s, that was reality, but the Bass & Co. Brewery didn't accept it. They became the first brand to ever introduce a logo, knowing that once people tried their beers, they would notice how good it was. They would seek out that exact icon again, hoping for the same great taste. This made them the first ever business to use branding intentionally. But you see, the word brand is pretty tricky. Branding isn't just about logos or products. Branding simply means a way to tell someone how to feel about something. And that's been going on for a real long time. About 1,000 years ago, writing was the only way to see words. And despite this being incredibly useful, it was easy to fake. A letter from the king saying to come outside unarmed could have been a trap set by enemies. In fact, during the 100 Years' War, a fake letter was sent to Charles VI, pretending to be from a friend, King Henry V. It claimed he was going to betray Charles and team up with his rivals. This made Charles lose trust in Henry, even though Henry was never the one who sent it. It was a French rival, hoping that this writing would ruin their friendship and eventually the government. And it did. After all this trouble, people in power needed a way to prove that their writing was of their own. The royal seal became the solution. A wax imprint, usually pressed with a stamp, became the king's brand. Each royal seal was unique and carried a complicated design that only the king had, one that couldn't easily be forged. This seal wasn't just for decoration. That stamp guaranteed the words written inside were from the king. Just holding a royal seal was like holding pure power. Those wax imprints were the difference between tossing aside a random piece of paper and framing it for the world to see. Just as royal seals conveyed power and authority, modern brands do the same today. For example, the complex designs of police badges. You see, you have been taught that behind that badge was a person with power, a person who could change the way something goes. You feel just as protected as you are frightened. Or when you're receiving mail, when one envelope in particular features the American flag, you become shocked and nervous, as you know it's from someone with the power to change things. Besides products and power, branding actually means so much more. At its core, branding is about creating an identity that people can become a part of. Making religion one of the biggest and oldest brands in history. About 6.8 billion people categorize themselves within a religion, and each religion carries its own set of beliefs and values. For example, Hinduism, founded nearly 5,000 years ago, it dictated nearly every aspect of life for its followers, from who you were friends with and to what you would eat. Just as brands create identities for their consumers, religions give a path that shapes how followers view the world, how they interacted with others, how they feel, dress, and act. And at the end of the day, religion gives you a brand to be like. But branding stretches back even further than religions or royal seals. It goes all the way back to prehistoric times, when early humans created their own form of communication through cave paintings. Around 40,000 years ago, humans painted symbols, animals, and handprints on cave walls. While we may not think of this as branding in the modern sense, these markings served as early forms of symbolic branding, a way to convey feelings or information through symbols. For example, a mark warning other cavemen that a territory is occupied matches our definition of a brand. It tells us how we should feel. When we see this mark, we're faced with uncertainty. Will we need to attack, or will we be attacked? Now imagine the Nike swoosh next to a cave painting of a fierce animal. The swoosh conveys athleticism and movement, just as the animal symbol communicates power and dominance. Both serve as quick ways to express feelings and ideas. This toothbrush could be considered a symbolic brand. Just the way its shape makes me feel like I'm looking at a toothbrush. It somehow tells me what it is without saying any words. In the same way, logos and symbols convey feelings without any words. So in a sense, through symbolic branding, the first ever brand was the first thing we ever gave meaning to. Whether it's a belief system, an object, or even an idea, we attach meanings to things, giving it the power to change how we see ourselves and others. So if everything is a brand, then maybe branding is more than a business strategy. Maybe it's something in our brains as humans, a force that has shaped our species for thousands of years and will continue to shape us for thousands more. Because in the end, branding is not about telling us what to buy. It's about telling us who we are.